Hey there, survivors. How's it going? I'm your host, Douglas here at Drownboy Productions, bringing you another Trick or Treat Studios mask review. And today we'll be continuing our journey, taking a look at many different Trick or Treat Studios masks and products this season by taking a look at another burn victim. And unfortunately, we will not be continuing the Nightmare on Elm Street line. Instead, we're going to start taking a look at stuff from House of a Thousand Corpses. Now, I know I started off saying unfortunately, but that's only because I wanted to take a look at a few other Freddy masks. Unfortunately, I don't have those here, but today we will still be taking a look at another burn victim. I think the only House of a Thousand Corpses mask I've done a review on so far is the Captain Spaulding, and it's a pretty good mask. It very much so varies paint job to paint job on how nice it's going to look, but this one I think is going to be a little bit more consistent, and I'm very excited to say that we will be continuing to look at burn victims, just not Freddy Krueger, because today we're looking at Tiny from House of a Thousand Corpses. Trick or Treat Studios has a pretty wide array of Rob Zombie masks, from actual masks of Rob Zombie, House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects, 31, of course his Halloween films, so on and so forth, the Munster masks. My point is, they have quite a few lines of Rob Zombie stuff, and a lot of that stuff is really, really cool. This is no exception, although I do find it a little bit odd that this in particular is placed under the House of a Thousand Corpses line. Now, what's so strange about that being branded as House of a Thousand Corpses is that Tiny, throughout the entirety of that movie, is pretty much wearing various different masks. I actually am not sure off the top of my head if you see him unmasked entirely in that film, but in the sequel, Devil's Rejects, you do see him mostly unmasked for that film, and this makeup design does seem to more closely resemble the Devil's Rejects version. But yeah, I don't know, just a weird branding thing. I know sometimes that happens. Regardless, the sculpture here is pretty fantastic. I think it really closely resembles the look of the makeup in the film, the shape of the head, the ear placement, the lips especially being pulled so tightly together. Definitely looks like Tiny. About the only time you see that boy's mouth open is whenever he's eating some of that slop at the dinner table, or some of his Agatha Crispies. That boy does love his Agatha Crispies. But yeah, we have a full head latex mask here, a nice slit in the back with a keyhole, and texture-wise, everything looks really, really nice on this. I think it actually looks a lot better than even some of the Freddy masks. And then paint scheme-wise, it is a very, very simple paint job, but it definitely accomplishes what it needs to. He has a nice gloss finish over him to make him look nice and fleshy and disgusting, but the actual paint tones are very, very subtle, but they pretty much capture the look of how he needs to look, at least in the original. And he's a little bit dirtier in Devil's Rejects, but it would be very easy to dirty up the mask a little bit. But as far as like a factory finish, I think it looks pretty nice. Now, as far as sizing, I have not tried this on, but it does seem like it would be big head friendly. As far as visibility, the eye holes are nice and large, so you can definitely see out of this no problem. For breathing, the nose holes are actually kind of small, but there are some nose holes in here, and the mouth is not cut open, it is held together. Now, that's because that's how the character's supposed to look. If you did want to wear this for a costume, you could easily slit the mouth open so you can breathe, put a straw in to get something to drink, whatever else you may need to do. But as far as for a display piece, I think this thing looks pretty fantastic. I'm really happy that Trick or Treat Studios decided to do a Tiny mask, not just because it's a really cool makeup design, but also because he is one of the nicest and coolest members of the Firefly family. Everyone else, let's be honest, they're horrible people. I know Otis and Baby and Spaulding are our main three, and they're pretty much the heroes because of how they're placed in the story, but what they're doing is genuinely atrocious. And I think Tiny is probably the least offensive out of everyone. I think it's pretty clear in House of a Thousand Corpses that he's basically supposed to be the Leatherface of the family. He's almost the one pushed and abused into doing what it is that he has to do. But obviously he seems the least offensive and most kind-hearted out of all of them, which is a pretty low bar. So yeah, I think Tiny's just a really cool character, and I'm happy that they made a mask of him, but I do wish that they would have done a more true House of a Thousand Corpses version where he has the leather mask on top Not so much like the partial mask, like the Batman looking costume that he's wearing later, but the initial mask that covers most of his head, I think that look would have been a really, really cool design as well. And now we've reached the point in the video where I read you all the excerpt directly from the Trick or Treat Studios website, so let's go ahead and take a look. We have the House of a Thousand Corpses Tiny Firefly Mask for $59.99. Tiny is sculpted by Eric Schlubati, who does fantastic work. Trick or Treat Studios is proud to present the officially licensed House of a Thousand Corpses Tiny Mask from Rob Zombie's cult classic. Based on hundreds of behind-the-scenes pictures, this amazing mask that is dead-on accurate to the mask used in the movie. Get yourself this mask and a happy face sweater and terrorize all your friends this Halloween. That's exactly how it's written up. Well, there you have it, $59.99 for a tiny Firefly mask. Personally, not a terrible price. I think it's a great sculpture. The paint job is fine. If you wanted to go over and repaint it, you could, but it's pretty unnecessary. This is one that is pretty much perfect right off the shelf. So if you're interested in adding a tiny mask to your House of a Thousand Corpses or Devil's Rejects collection today, I strongly recommend you pick up one of these from Trick or Treat Studios or one of the many retailers that covers their products. And with that being said, I think that about covers it for today's video. I love you all. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for some more videos coming very soon, and I'll see you next time.